Hello, everyone. It is Daniela here from Matchpoint, and we are here to be answering all of your burning questions about all things networking and events. I am really excited to have Sean Specie with me, the founder of Event Builder Pro, a cutting edge event planning software, and Coastal Spark Entertainment, a DJ and hosting company. This is my favorite fun fact about him. Sean has planned, produced, hosted, and DJ'd over hundreds of events all across the world. So not only is he an event planner, but he's also a DJ. And Sean is here to answer all your questions about successful events. So Sean, let's get right into it. Are you ready for your question?
Yes, I don't know if I can answer all the questions about successful events, but I will do my best.
Okay, well, we have one for you, and I know that you can answer this. So, your question is, what do you think the key elements are that make either a networking event or networking at events impactful and memorable for attendees?
I mean, there's so much to that question. And what's interesting about that is it's almost like anything else. Like if you were to start planning out a YouTube channel and start digging into it, a lot of it comes down to your audience and knowing who the attendees are, knowing who the people are that are going to be networking and essentially like what do they want to get out of it. Because networking can mean so many different things, like or at least the end goal of networking can mean so many different things to so many different people. I mean, I think back to several times when I've been involved in networking events, either from the planning or from the DJ and the MC side, but also I've been an attendee at a networking event before myself. And I can't remember who taught this to me. It was years ago. Someone said, hey, the number one rule of networking is to always get the other person's information if that's someone that you actually want to be connected to. And so like if you're a salesperson and the goal of your networking is to try to find leads, it's then your goal is not to go out and hand out as many business cards as you want to. It's then to go and collect as much information for your actual target audience. So that of course can be impactful because then the salesperson is going to come back and hopefully they're doing their job where they say, hey, they report to their boss, maybe who maybe had to approve that ticket to the networking event to say, hey, yes, I collected X number of leads, say it's 20 leads or so, and they're in like our target audience. So that would be impactful if you're a salesperson. If you're going to a networking event and you're trying to, like, let's say it's like a job fair and you're a college student, and you're going to try to meet all of these different companies, well, then you want to be collecting the information of those companies that you're especially interested in. Then they are most impacted by the information that they collect because if they go and they hand out their resume and hand out the resume and hand out the resume, well, then there's really not much that they can do on the back end after that event stops because they can't then go and reach out and put their best foot forward. Like let's say they use something like Matchpoint and they then and this is me just going off the top of my head without ever having used Matchpoint before. But let's say they get connected to this recruiter and it turns out that they're from the same small town and they even went to the same small high school. Like my wife and I, whenever we go back, she grew up in a small town north of Tampa, Florida. And so we go back and a lot of times we'll run into people that it's just a small town. Like you know somebody who knows somebody and they're 2 degrees of separation from each other. And so if they have that already in common, if I can walk into a conversation and I know that that recruiter's from my small town, be like, oh, I saw on Matchpoint that you're also from Inverness, Florida. And then they have that connection in common. It makes for just a really great start to that conversation. And even that one point brings up, like, let's say it's the recruiter that has the first say, and they're like, ooh, like this one person from the job fair out of all 500 that we met or all 50 that we met, this one person stands out to me because they were very personable. They were even from my own small town. Like that was such a fun connection. Like I saw this stat one time that when interviewers are interviewing someone, it was like a study that they did where they put a buzzer underneath the table and they said, push the button, like push the buzzer when you know whether or not you would actually hire that person. Not necessarily like, will you, but if you would or would not. And it was within like the first 6 seconds of meeting someone, they ended up pushing the button. That was like the average. And so if you can have that connection, like usually that's when you make a connection because in sales, like let's say you're a salesperson, going back to that example, sales, we've all heard the adage of people do business with those who you know, like, and trust, right? So if someone knows you, they like you, and they trust you, there's a good chance they might buy from you. And so the same thing pretty much goes for someone who's networking to find a new job or things like that. So, but then on top of that, so if you can walk away with a bunch of data and information, I think back to like my own personal experiences. Some of my favorite networking events, I remember one networking event where they did a networking bingo. So they printed off a bingo card and it was like, hey, find someone in the room that's from the same industry as you are, find someone in the room that's from the same maybe town that you are, and all these like little bingo things. And then at the end, what was fun about is not only did that do that, and it makes it interesting, but also along those same lines is what they did is they did a prize at the end. So you completed the bingo card, you did it, and people have heard of these, but what was fun about it, it was people that I had met and they were interesting. And then I got to cheer for someone that I had met that then went on to win the bingo prize. I didn't win it. I wish I had, but they won some kind of gift card or some kind of gift basket and things like that.
I always talk about the bingo example. I love it. I think it's so fun, and it just like makes it less daunting, because sometimes walking into an event like that, it can be daunting if you don't know anybody. But I really love what you said about like the flipping the switch on information collection, because yeah, you can hand out as many business cards as you want, but like what are the odds that people are going to reach out to you if you're the one that needs something from them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's something that we probably know, but we maybe don't talk about and like put into words and like out there. So it's like very like in the forefront, like, hey, I need to collect as much information as possible, even more than what I'm sharing. And I think that's great advice. And I have a follow-up question on that, Sean.
Sure.
Um, on that note, what do you think event organizers can do to help facilitate that transfer of information where you're also receiving the information from the people you're speaking to?
Yeah. I think that the old adage pops in my head that to a hammer, everything is a nail, right? And so, most of my you mentioned like in my background that I have a DJ and an MC company, and I will say this: I am not the greatest DJ at like mixing songs together. That is not my forte. I definitely can pick the right song and I can mix a little bit, but really, from the event hosting side, most of my background is really more on the MC side, and then DJ is definitely something that I do as well. So from an MC, like the first thing that popped in my head to answer your question is simple reminders go a long way. And what comes naturally to me in the event planning, but then also in the event like hosting side is, okay, well then do those reminders from the microphone. And so if you have a sound system set up where you've got some light music playing, typically most people will also have a microphone so that you can guide the event and say, okay, hey, it's now time to rotate to your next speed networking table, or it's time to turn in your bingo cards, whatever it is. Like you've got the microphone there for different things. And so simple reminders as you go, and again, like people don't necessarily need to be told, but they need to be reminded. And so if you say, hey, time to move on to the next networking table, but you have the next 30 seconds before you do it, you've got 30 seconds to exchange information. And then literally you repeat that same phrase every single time you change tables, or every single time you have a new transition and move it to people. And so I think that that's probably the one that sticks out to me the most, because if you put someone's phone in their pocket where you say, hey, this is the app that you're going to be using, that's great. But a lot of times people will get distracted or they'll get so in depth in the conversation that they might forget to actually push the button or to scan the QR code or to share a business card, whatever that looks like.
Right. I think that's so simple but so smart, because like I said before, like it's something that we know, but like when you put it out there, when you say it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, of course I need to do that. Like, and without hearing it, you might absolutely forget. I mean, I'm sure we've both been in situations where we're having a great conversation and then it's like, oh, like it gets cut off and you never see that person again. And you're like, oh crap, like I don't know anything about them that I can actually follow up with. So, Sean, I think that's like a really simple thing that event organizers can do, but very easily implementable. So awesome. Okay, Sean, thank you so much for answering these questions. I think this was really insightful, and I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time. It was a pleasure being here.